So all throughout high school, I'd say the bald patch on the top of my head was slowly kind of growing out, or shrinking in a way, to the point where it was more just like a palm-sized, bald, patchy, short spot where the hairs would be like this long and you could still see my scalp. So it was like this patchy bald spot entering into college. And I'd gotten really good at covering it up. Again, I would like, man, my favorite hairstyle lately has been this because I can actually have a center part and I've waited years for that. But I would do like, again, I would do this, which just isn't, I mean, it worked, but I love every day of my life with a middle part. It's just so special to me. So yeah, entered into college with that. And again, I was still pulling out my hair. It was just kind of slowly phasing itself out. I still did not have eyelashes. So I think I went through the first 2 years of college just kind of flatlining on that. Wasn't worried about it. I had also been, I might need to refilm these because I need to hit the like therapy talking points, but I had been in therapy when I was 11. Or between 9 and 11, somewhere like that, for hair pulling. It was a family friend who was my therapist, and I really, really like her. I love her. I don't remember how long I went to her for, but I remember she would have me sketch like what I wanted my hair to look like one day, and we would talk a lot. And I don't remember a ton of our conversations. And then I eventually stopped going because it just wasn't helping, and my parents were spending money on it, and I just didn't, I think it got to a point where it felt a little hopeless almost, and I didn't want to continue spending resources, like my parents' resources, on something that wasn't helping. I don't know if that was a thought process at 11, maybe in the back of my head somewhere. But so I went back in high school, I think. I went back in high school, and I remember her asking me, I had been through something like slightly traumatic, and I remember her asking me like, oh, do you think this is the reason why you started pulling out your hair? And I said, well, no, because the traumatic incident happened when I was like 16, and I started pulling out my hair long before that. So unless I went through something traumatic that I don't remember from when I was very, very young, I don't think that this is like trauma induced. And the other thing is that trichotillomania can be, I'm sure you know, but it can be related to OCD and anxiety, and it can kind of fall under that umbrella of obsessive compulsive disorder or anxiety, and it can stem from that. I have never been diagnosed with either of those to this day. I have some of my own theories about my mental health, but I think that I should probably save that for another episode. Episode. I love that. Episode. Welcome to another episode. Okay, so yes, high school, went back to therapy, and so basically it was like one of these problems where it's like, okay, you're pulling out your hair, and that in and of itself is distressing. When you are pulling out your hair and you can see bald spots, and you walk up to the mirror and your eyelids are red and puffy because you've pulled out all of your eyelashes, and you're just like constantly picking, like waiting for one to like slightly grow and pull them out. It is very, very distressing. And then it's difficult when, I can't even tell you the amount of times I tried to explain to my parents, I'm like, it's almost subconscious. Like I don't really realize I'm doing it. And so it's hard to realize when you're doing it and then stop. Yes, that is true. But also there was an element of it where it's like, I was half conscious of what I was doing. I just did not want to stop because there was something soothing or like satisfying about the behavior. And I think that I would even deny that in therapy because even that comes with shame. It's like, okay, well, you're doing this like compulsion that's obviously not good for you and that's causing more emotional distress, but it's like physically soothing because it never hurt to pull out my hair. And I would always pull out the like shorter hairs because as these parts grow, like I don't really target this anymore. It's too long for me. So, and especially like my really long hair, I was never like a long hair pull outer. It was always like the same areas. And even now when I pick at my hair, I have like shorter ones, and like that's what I go for. I have no idea where I was going with that. Okay, so basically I woke up one day in college and I was like, forget my hair. Let's think about my eyelashes for a second. I was like, what if I just started tracking every day that I went without pulling out my eyelashes? And the eyelashes in a way almost seemed like the real beast to accomplish, because that was the one that in my opinion caused the most physical difference, like to the naked eye. Even though a lot of people didn't notice, to me, I was just like, I would really love to have eyelashes and be able to put on mascara before a night out or before class or whatever. You know, I think that like it was something I'm like, am I really gonna live my whole life without eyelashes? And I'm a big tracker. I love to track workouts. I track how much water I drink. I am a tracker. I like log what I've done every day. I have like lists. I'm a list keeper. I'm a tracker. I was like, I'm gonna apply this to my eyelashes and I'm gonna forget about my hair. If it makes me pull out more hair, so be it. We'll just see. And I don't think I told anyone either, because I think sometimes when you tell people your goals, you're less likely to achieve them because it takes like the wind out of the sail almost. So I just started on my own. And I was at pretty big risk of never even being able to grow them back, because when you pull repeatedly from the follicle for years on end, you can cause follicle damage so much that they basically die and stop growing hair. And so that was a concern too. I was like, I could try this and them not grow at all. Well, the weeks went by and within 6 weeks, I had a full set of eyelashes, which is crazy because to me, it felt like it was gonna take longer. And I think it was like 6 weeks, 2 months. I like woke up one day and I was like, wait a minute, I have a full set of eyelashes. That went by way faster than I thought it would. And it's way faster than your like hair growth. So it was almost like a good one to tackle first. And I will never forget when my parents came for a football. They came for a football game and they came up to the tailgate and my mom could already see my eyelashes from like yards away and she started sobbing tears of joy. And I have never felt more pride in that moment. I was so excited. And the next week I went to church with my parents, and afterwards my dad took us to Ulta and my mom and I went in and bought my first ever mascara. And I didn't realize how much eyelashes would add to my femininity and how much more feminine I would feel. But I genuinely am so grateful for every day that I wake up and am able to curl my eyelashes and put on mascara. And the added bonus, which is such a blessing, is that when I wear mascara, I don't pull out my eyelashes. There's something about the texture and the way that they clump together where I'm like, I don't wanna touch that. I usually only pull out eyelashes if I don't have mascara on. So all the more reason to wear it every day. But I don't know if you can tell, they're mainly fully grown in, but sorry, up close and personal. I did relapse right before my college graduation, where I pulled out a major chunk right here of my eyelashes. And that relapsing is so difficult when you've spent so much time and effort working to grow something that you can destroy or like ruin, for lack of a better word, in seconds. And to have it coincide with college graduation, I know I was stressed out. That's probably where it came from. But it was really sad to have weeks worth of growth be kind of like thrown away and then have like a patch during my college graduation. But we persist and they have grown back, you see? So that is my part 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, please, if you'd like, subscribe. I'm going to go way more into depth into a lot of the themes and topics that I've talked about in the past 2 videos, because I think that a lot of them are worthy of time and attention. And I'll also try to respond to all comments and questions that you guys might have. So thank you, and thank you for listening.